I'm Narelle Todd.
And I'm Essie Susan Smith.
We are the self-publishing author and marketing duo that has sold over 2 million books. But we didn't start out knowing how to sell books. Fast forward past many failed promotions and a lot of lessons learned, you will see how we went from self-publishing newbies to hitting the New York Times bestsellers list and making the USA Today bestsellers list 19 times and counting. We created the Get My Book Out There podcast to give you simple yet effective marketing strategies to increase readership and book sales, so you know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, as well as some tips for staying mentally and physically well.
Let's get started.
We're going to talk about relationship building by responding to readers. So one of the fundamentals I see with a lot of authors is that they often will not do or stop doing the fundamental thing because they think they're too basic. And actually, it's those fundamental things that you have to do every day, those maintenance type things, which is often the boring thing, can be the boring things as well. But they're the things that actually build your author business.
The foundations for the business. So when you forget the basics, you're forgetting to put the floor in or the walls or the studs.
Yeah, exactly. So we want to have a look at some of those basics today and look at 3 things or 3 ways that you can build your relationship with your readers. Get these right, you're really doing well with your business.
And they don't cost anything. When you look at it, they cost, your time, but you're building that relationship actually will extend far beyond the impersonal touches, because you meet when you go out on conventions, then you will eventually meet them in person and you have that connection.
I always say that it takes roughly about 1,000 raving fans for you to actually build your business. And this is how you can create those raving fans when you may be money poor, but you've got some time where you can start to build the relationship. So our first one is website and responding to comments there. Susan, you do this really well. You typically respond to everybody yourself personally. And if not, I usually step and respond. What do you find about that?
I like to at least go in, and even when you respond, because I'll be like in a major deadline or something like that, I still get that notice. And then I'll go in and I'll see that you've already replied. But we've worked together so long that it's like, I know a lot of times what you're thinking and you know exactly what I'm thinking, which is amazing. But I still read the comments. And sometimes I'll even add an additional comment to it. For me, it's I guess you could call it like a downtime. I get so much enjoyment going in and reading the comments and answering the questions. And sometimes I get, a little overwhelmed if I have like half a dozen of them. I realize that they're enjoying the stories as much as I am. They'll either leave a comment. I had somebody tell me, I love the puzzles that you put. That was a comment the other night.
Yes.
And it was so funny because one of the things that I'll do, and I tell one of the readers who introduced me to doing this, I said, oh my God, now I'm going down the rabbit hole again. And I'll sit there and I'll play the puzzles, just trying to see if I can beat my time from before, or I'll just go from one puzzle to another to another. And that's what the reader said. She says, I stay up way too late. Part of it is having that relationship with the readers and understanding what they're enjoying doing and getting enjoyment from their comments. It's that interaction, it's that connection with them.
And I think it's also important just for that authenticity. So whenever I respond to a comment, because, you're tied up with writing, I'll always say that it's me who's commented, just so that people know that I'm just filling in, for you. But I think it's good to be authentic as well, just to let people know, so I'm not trying to fake being you, but you still want the relationship built. So you've got somebody there, to fill in sort of thing when you can't do it.
And sometimes if it's a very, direct question or something, I have their email so that I can go ahead and I'll actually not only post a comment on the website, but then I'll actually email them as well to let them know that I responded and what I responded, especially if I know there's like a time constraint or something on it.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good one.
But it's worth taking that extra time. If they're taking the time out of their busy daily lives to post a comment, the least I can do is try to take time out of my life to respond.
Yes. And if you time block, so if you say, give yourself 10 minutes and I'm going to respond to all the comments on the website, then that way you keep it to that. Even if you have to set a timer, you just do the comments and then you get out so you don't get distracted and you don't, go down the rabbit hole. So our second tip is Facebook Lives. Great way to interact with people, even though it is one way, sort of with you doing the talking, but people can still leave comments and things like that. So step us through how you do that one.
I think out of all of them, it's one of the ones that I get the most stressed out about doing, but I end up enjoying. Zoom might be a little bit more fun because you do get that two-way interaction better.
Yes.
But by doing Facebook Live, the readers are able to post comments. And as long as the technology, I think that's the big stress part, is the technology going to work? Are they going to be able to hear me? Do I have a good internet signal? Because that's often an issue. And then can I read all the comments? And so, by talking, I try not to talk at them. I try to go ahead and have a two-way conversation, even though it is primarily one way, but it gives chance for the readers to see me, to see who I am. Sometimes my hair will be up. I've done it where I've mowed the yard and I've come in real quick because I've lost track of time. We're trying to, get from point A to point B, so I'll have a signal so that I can actually do it. But by answering those questions real time, it also makes it more fulfilling for both of us because there is that, that two-way connection, and it's instantaneous right there, real time.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the beauties about it is obviously they can ask questions so you can answer straight away. You can put in links. It gives you that real-time conversation ability, really.
Well, and it also allows me to discuss things. And then it's not only on Facebook, but then we can also take the videos and put them onto the YouTube. And what I do is I get comments posted on YouTube. Afterwards, they'll watch the video if they didn't have time to join in with the Facebook Live, but they may come in later. And then they can actually, post questions. And then I'll go back in and I'll answer questions then. It also allows me to do my work in progress. I've been doing on Wednesday nights, I've been doing my work in progress. So I'm able to share tidbits of my unedited thought process, I guess you could say, of the stories as they're coming alive. And I think it's kind of neat. I love seeing the evolution of anything you do, from if you decide to, remodel your house or, paint a wall or anything that you're doing creatively, cross stitch. You start out with like this blank slate, and then you see this picture come alive in front of you. So I think Facebook Live allows me to do that, and the readers are able to see it in real time.
Yes, and it's been quite a popular series, the work in progress reading. So our third tip is around Messenger, so Facebook Messenger and email. So combining those two. What's your secrets there?
I love being able to chat with readers. I think that the thing is when you're doing it with Messenger or you're doing it with email, Messenger, the good thing is again, it's real time. So you're having this conversation in real time, talking back and forth. And it's very personal. It's just, in this case, oftentimes, I would say 99% of the time, it's just you and the other person. And so you're having that personal conversation like you were talking on the phone, or, you're talking to a neighbor and you're asking them how they're doing and, what's going on. You can share photos, you can share videos, you can share anything that you find interesting, links. And it's not all just about books. It's about what's going on in life. If they're celebrating a birthday, best conversations I had is I had a reader. Her son was in the hospital and it was late at night, and she got on, and you could tell it was a stressful time for her. And she says, do you mind if we were on Messenger? She says, do you mind if I do a video? And I said, if you don't mind the fact that I'm sitting in the dark in my nightgown, yeah. And that's exactly what we did. She laughed, but we had this conversation and it was very, very personal. It helped her and it made me feel better.
Yeah.
Knowing that I could be there, I could be that shoulder for her.
Yeah. And I think once again, technology really helps us connect with people. And it's also the way that we manage that as well. So I think whenever you look at using technology, you also need to have in place a plan how to manage that technology. Have, say, notifications turn off at a certain time so that you allow yourself downtime. Just be aware, do you need to set time limits for how often you go on things? Because, you could be there for a while and actually chatting with people, but then draw that line and say, okay, I've been doing this for an hour. I better get back to work. So we need to be mindful of those things as well when we use technology.
And like you said, setting up like a designated time that you can do this, or, when you need that break, you could be working and then set it up and then divide it up into sections. Posts, there's a lot of posts that are on Facebook on the author page, and I read through, I would say probably 99% of them or more, but I don't answer all of them. So I may read them, but I may not spend the hours it would take to answer everything. But I'll go through and I'll pick, maybe a dozen that I do respond to, especially ones that really hit me or I think are really funny or give me a chuckle, or that I can really relate to. That's something that's happened in my life that I could really relate to what they're talking about. You don't have to feel like you've got to answer every single comment, which is what I did when I first started. It was like when I was a teacher, I felt like I had to grade every single piece of paper. You finally get to the point where you realize that, no, you only need to do certain ones to get that snapshot. Look at most important stuff, but enjoy the other. Take that time, to do that. But even just responding to odd comments throughout, the readers realize that you are there. And then if I do have a conversation with, oh yeah, do you remember when you said this? And they're like, oh yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah.
Again, it's that personal connection. And I like people, and I think that my readers realize that I enjoy the chats that I have with them. And hopefully they enjoy the chats that they have with me.
So there are our 3 tips for relationship building with your readers using technology. So let us know in the comments which ones go and use. So just start with one and then, build the others in, and that really will get your foundations in a really good, healthy place to build that relationship.
And enjoy them. Find the ones that you enjoy the most and don't be afraid to expand upon that. So I hope everyone enjoyed today's podcast. And like Narelle said, if you have any questions or comments, just post them below and we'll be right there to answer them.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. We've got way more information we want to share with you to increase your book sales. So please come and join me at facebook.com. Get my book out there.